Detroit Den 313. We're back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. If you miss it, then hit it again. And even if you hit it, don't just hit it yourself. Tell your friends to hit it. Don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our content. Steve, talk to him.
There's a lot of different ways I could go with that setup. Hitting it and letting your friends hit it. And
I'm not touching
feels
that.
It feels like I'm on a Minnesota Vikings boat party. I don't know what's going on.
I cannot.
We got one of those controversial topics today.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna raise some eyebrows, spark some questions. So, what the hell are these guys talking about? Do these guys even watch football? Like, yeah. You can all see it. We're just trying to picture yourselves sitting at a bar with a cold beer. You're just shooting the shit. You're throwing around some topics and see what happens. So,
yeah, this is coming from no sources.
Yeah, nothing.
This is just we're talking.
This is just what if. You know, what if? Let's just have a little fun. Try to come to YouTube and just have a little fun is all we're asking you guys to do for this one. We were kind of just throwing it around. You know, we're looking at the Houston Texans. Everyone's talking about them, how great they're going to be. Put them in the Super Bowl. Lions, Texans, Super Bowl matchup. We can all see it. A lot of mouths to feed there in Houston.
Yeah. So
there's only one football on a football field, right? And that I don't think that there's been some rule changes, but I don't think that rule has changed. There's still just one football.
There's still one football.
So we're looking at some offensive weapons. You know, something the Detroit Lions are kind of sort of in a market for is a wide receiver. Yeah. So, Will, how do you feel about some of these Houston Texans wide receivers here?
Well, first things first, I feel like you're taking 4 receivers on the active roster. And I'm looking at 27 Houston Texans receivers that all offer some playmaking abilities. Right now, I'm looking at Xavier Hutchinson. I'm looking at Tank Dell, Noah Brown, Stephon Diggs, who is, if he don't get the football, he's going to cause all types of hell. Nico Collins, who's coming on strong, Jonathan Metchie, and Robert Woods. So that's a lot of names. So as we were spitballing and messing around, I'm just talking. Do you give the Houston Texans a call and say, hey, man, we really like one of these guys. What's it going to take? Because you're cutting somebody. That's for starters. We may not even have to give anything for them because they're not going to take 8 receivers into the season. 4 of them, they're probably are gonna be active. 2 of them are gonna be on their practice squad. There's gonna be 2 guys that are the odd man out. Who are they? Let's do some business.
Yeah, I'm definitely not 100% sure what the Houston area code is, but I can look that up for you, Brad. You'll probably have to get the rest of the numbers yourself. I'm definitely, at the very least, giving him a call because you're right. There's a lot of receivers on this team. I know they're the Houston Texans fans are very high on this kid, Xavier Hutchinson. You mentioned all the other names. Someone's getting cut. And guys, we know how the practice squad works. All right. When the Houston Texans go into training camp and they designate someone to the practice squad, that means that other teams could call them and say, hey, instead of going to Houston's practice squad, we'll sign you to our active roster. What do you think a young kid who's trying to make his way in the NFL is going to do? Regardless of who your favorite team is, where your family lives, you're going to say, man, I got a chance to get on an NFL football field on Sundays, Mondays, Thursday nights, Saturdays. Instead of going to a practice squad, I can actually get on the field. You're going to take the NFL route no matter what, no matter who it is. I don't care if you're the worst team in the league. To give yourself a chance, that's going to be the option these kids are going to pick. So, yeah, I don't know who the odd man out will be, but I know if I'm Brad and I'm trying to make a deal, I know who I'm going after.
Who are you going after?
I'm going after that Michigan man, Nico Collins.
100%.
And I know it's far-fetched. Yeah. I know it's really out there. I know he was the number 1 on their team last year, but now they have Stephon Diggs, who the cancer has been inserted into Houston. It's just a matter of time before it spreads throughout the body. Yeah. And the body could include Nico Collins. Very productive last year. Michigan kid, Ohio State wide receiver, quarterback. They kind of had a nice little chemistry going. I don't know. I'm at least calling and saying, hey, is there anything we could do to get Nico Collins? What's this going to take? What's this going to take to, so you could keep Stephon Diggs happy where he's the number 1 guy. There's no question about it. And you got some nice pieces around him instead of, well, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Nico, who was kind of the number 1 last year. Maybe they're going to butt heads a little. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I'm just trying to throw some scenarios out.
Yeah. I 100% agree. When I first make the call, I'm going to ask about Nico. Got to. You'd be silly not to. Do you guys have a problem at X receiver? Do you guys have a situation where Stefan wants to be the X and he's not going to mess around, but then Nico's like, "Hey, I'm the X. What about me? Like, hey, let us help you out with that situation." Um, I do agree that's a little bit far fetched, but you don't know unless you ask. Hey, CJ Gardner doesn't end up on this team last year unless you keep calling and you keep asking what's going on. So be persistent, go after what you really want, and then see what you land on. So yeah, I think Nico's the guy, but that you go after initially. But here's a guy that I think isn't sexy. Probably won't like it. I really wouldn't be thrilled about it. But when I looked at the stats, and this guy's 10 years in the league, older guy, but he has a history with Jared Goff. Uh, Jared Goff was his quarterback in 2017, 2018, and 2019. Jared Goff's rookie year, I believe, was in 2016. So Jared Goff's second year, first year with none other than the Robert Woods. He connected for 56 receptions, 781 yards. The following year, it was 86 receptions, and 1,200 yards, well, just over 1,200 yards. The following season, 2019, 90 receptions, 1,100 yards. So it's obvious, kind of similar to Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds wasn't a guy that I've ever looked at like, man, this has got to have him on my team. He is just a beast. But when he came to Detroit and he started making plays, it was like, man, okay, I like this dude, man. I like this dude. And you started to recognize that he was kind of a safety net for Jared Goff. They had a connection for whatever reason. Obviously, him and Robert Woods had that. Robert Woods is, I think he's 31 years old, 31, 32, somewhere in there. He's on the back end of his career. But is he a guy that can step in, be a familiar face for Jared Goff, um, be a comfortable weapon for us at that X receiver and solve a problem for a season for us, and then allow us next year to maybe make a move for a different X receiver, or just kind of like you say, Steve, just kick the can down the road a little bit, solve it for us for right now. You're not going to be too much of an impact. It's only a 1 year deal. We'll only be dealing with that on a salary cap for this season, and just get the job done for right now. Robert Woods, would you be okay with us calling, not trading a piece for him? Because I think he gets cut, man. You look at
He could be one of the odd men out.
he's getting cut, man. Xavier Hutchinson, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Jonathan Minchie. Robert Woods is probably getting cut. So you just say, hey, man, before you cut him, right? Hey, man, won't you give him to us for a seventh rounder? You know what I mean? Won't you give him to us for next to nothing? That way he doesn't go to the open market. Or maybe you start calling and making some connections, and as soon as they sit them down in that room, hey, by the way, we're going to be releasing you, but hey, here, Brad wants to talk to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either way, I'm cool with it. Would you be okay with it?
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. I like the chemistry with him and Goff. It's kind of just like a familiarity. Hey, slide into this Josh Reynolds role, do that kind of thing. Also, we're not even mentioning, we're just talking the receivers, but Dalton Schultz is a nice young tight end they have coming from the Cowboys, going into year 2 with Houston. He's going to want some touches. They just signed Joe Mixon, who, you know what, in my opinion, from when Joe Mixon got drafted to where he is today, has completely changed. I think Joe Mixon is a phenomenal teammate. He took that pay cut to try to stick around in Cincinnati and run it back and keep things chugging. Didn't work out. He ends up in Houston. Good fit for him. But he's going to want some touches too. He's not standing back there just to, be a body. He's going to want the ball. He's going to want to get some touches too. So there's a lot of mouths to feed on that Houston Texans team. And when you got a guy like Stephon Diggs, who is known to, cause some trouble, stir the pot, kick up the hornet's nest, he's going to do or say something, tweet something at some point. I'd almost be willing to bet on it just based on his track record. But and I'm not going to skill. He's got all the skill in the world, but a little pouty sometimes when he doesn't get the football. And we're not even mentioning John Metchie, who came from Alabama, a second-round pick last I think he was in the JMO draft. Didn't play much as a rookie because he was undergoing cancer treatment. Got on the field a little bit last year. Didn't really have his legs under him. Took that year off, kind of getting ready to get back in NFL and football form. Not a lot of production either, but he's a guy who's going to come out and want to prove himself as well. So this Houston thing is going to be interesting to watch. It's either going to shine or it's going to sink like the Titanic.
Jonathan Minchie is somebody that excited me coming out when he came out in a draft. I thought that he was going to be similar to somebody like a Jalen Waddle, somebody that's going to be able to make those type of plays. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, here's what worries me from that aspect. Where is he going to play? If we got Jonathan Minchie, I just worry about how does he fit in with the Detroit Lions. I think he's 5'10", 5'11". I don't think
5'11".
I don't think he plays that X spot. Uh, he's not taking over for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Does he take over for a guy like Raymond? Like where are we going to utilize Jonathan Minchie in this offense? Do I think that he could potentially be better than somebody like Raymond? Maybe. I don't know. Because him and Jared Goff have that rapport already, and Minchie hasn't shown us anything just yet. So the idea, I could see the idea of it, but I just wonder where he would fit in. Do you think there would be a role with him with the Detroit Lions right now?
I don't know. I think Khalif Raymond is the comparison. Like that's who you'd be replacing. But I really like what Khalif Raymond does in the punt game, in the kick return game when he's out there. I trust him on punt return more than any other player I've ever seen for the Lions. And punt return kind of makes me scared because I'm just always worried about those muffed punts. They just kind of makes me hold my breath until I see that ball actually get caught. I trust Khalif Raymond back there 100%. So I think he's probably one of the most underrated players on the team for me. And every now and then a wide receiver, Jared Goff cooks him up. And, they come up with a big play for a touchdown. I remember some flea flicker plays where Khalif gets open. Like I like the way Khalif's used. To be honest, I have no idea what John Mechie's capable of in the NFL. It's been such a small sample. He played 16 games, 16 catches, 1 catch per game, obviously. Not a lot of production, but I give him a break because that was kind of his rookie season. His actual rookie season, he was battling cancer. I'm not exactly sure what the story is with that, if he's 100% cancer free. Hope so. But I think this is going to be a year where Metchie wants to really establish himself in the league. So he's going to want to touch the ball quite a bit too, just to say, hey, you guys drafted me. This is my second year in the league. Really, let me get that rock a little bit.
Yeah, man. It's only so many footballs out there in Houston. I think that while we're just talking, man, we're just talking. I do think that it could grow some legs, man, because it's got to be us or somebody that they're going to have to be doing business with. And why not us? We have a need. I think it makes sense. I don't think that we would have to give up too much, if anything. And I would love to have a lot of these guys. I mean, we see what Tank Dell did last year. Noah Brown's nothing to sleep on. Jonathan Minchie has all the potential in the world. If you're telling me that I could get Nico, I would even give up some draft equity for Nico. Anything after the third round, I wouldn't even blink to go get Nico. And if you're telling me that I could get 1,000-yard receiver in the third round, that might be something that I would be interested in as well, man. So, I don't know, man. It's just a thought, guys. How do you feel about it? You know what I mean? How do you feel about it? Are we crazy for even bringing it up? Do you think that this is something that could grow legs? Because I truly do.
If it were to grow legs, and I know I shouldn't even say if, when it grows legs, I don't think it would be until probably next offseason. I think they'll give this thing a full year to see. But like I said, it's just a matter of time. Stephon Diggs is a ticking time bomb. All the talent in the world, but he's been very animated in a lot of places. We could go back to his Minnesota days. He wasn't happy when they drafted Adam Thielen. He wanted to be the guy. He goes to Buffalo. He starts throwing a fit with Josh Allen, and then he's not getting the ball enough. Like there's an established track record. Something, I don't know what will be said. I don't know what the situation will be. He will not be happy with something there, especially with all these other really, really good players that the Texans have. And like I said, this probably won't even become a story or a possibility until next year. Maybe we're just talking about it first. Maybe next year you guys will say, man, them two idiots from the Detroit Den 313 might have had a little something. They might have actually seen the future a little bit.
I think it's got to be before next year though, because you got 8 guys. This gotta maybe the top end of this thing between Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins. We won't see the outcome of that until next year. But this 8-man receiver situation has to get figured out this year. That has to get figured out at the end of training camp. You got to decide what 4 guys are going to be on this active roster, what 2 are going to be on your practice squad if you keep 2, because you're only allowed so many. And it's not just you get a certain amount at every position. So if 2 of them are going to end up on your practice squad, and then what are you going to do with the other 2? Somebody's getting cut. Or you're going to be doing business with one of these other teams in the NFL. I lean on the fact that somebody's going to be doing business with the Houston Texans because there's too many good receivers in their camp.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when training camp starts. But another thing, the Lions played the Texans this year. Mm-hmm. I think Steve and Will need to take a flight down to Houston for a 3 or 4 day weekend, catch some barbecue, catch some warm weather, watch the Lions beat up on them Texans a little bit.
We get a few more members. I might be able to afford a ticket to get down.
Yeah. Hey, guys, that's it for today. Again, this is just an episode kind of throwing something on the wall. I already know what's coming in the comments, clickbait, made up stuff. We get it. We're just two guys talking football, throwing out some scenarios. Leave some comments down below. Call us idiots if you want. Maybe something will stick, and a year from now, you guys will see, hey, maybe they were right. Hit that like button. If you're new here, stick around, subscribe. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.